So in the last video, we imported all this data from PDoc. And in this video, we're going to take a look at how to extract the data that we want from this data set. And we'll start off by turning off all the layers at first. So select all of them and click on this little eye symbol and select hide selected layers. So now we only see our project area and our reference point. And the data we want to extract first is the bike paths. You have to kind of scroll through those layers to see what is where. But I know that the bike paths are in a layer called BGT Wegdeel Traffic Area. So I'm going to turn this one on. And we can filter different subsets of all this data by right-clicking on the layer, going to Filter. And then we can see all the different parameters that this layer has. And one of them is function. If you select function and click all, you get a list with all the possible values for the field function. And one of them is fietspad, which means bike path. So in our little coding window here, if we go here and we double click function is equal to bike path, and then click OK. QGIS will only show us the bike paths, all the fields that have the value bike path. The next step is to clip the bike paths, so we only have the paths that fall into our project area. And we do this by clicking on the layer with the bike paths, going to Vector, Geoprocessing Tools, and Clip. For the input layer, we'll use the BGT Wegdeel that we've just filtered. And for the overlay layer, we'll use the project boundary. And then just select Run. And you'll see QGIS makes a new layer. So we can turn off the old one. And now we have a clipped layer with only the data within our project area. The last step is to merge all the surfaces. If you look closely, you can see that this is one surface, this is one surface, and this one is one surface. And that's not so nice to work with later on in Rhino. So we want to merge all the bike path surfaces into one. And we do that by selecting our clipped layer, going to Vector, Geoprocessing Tools, Dissolve. The input layer is clipped, and we just select Run. And as you can see, QGIS made a new layer again called Dissolved, and the surfaces have now become one. That's it. We need to make this layer permanent. You see this little symbol. That means that it's just a temporary layer, and if we close the project now, then it will just disappear. So if you right-click on it and you select Make Permanent, you can navigate to our folder and give it a name, for example, Bike Paths Clipped, and then select Save. Save it as a geo package and just hit OK. And now the temporary symbol has disappeared and the layer is permanent. Let's give it a new name here as well. Call it Bike Paths Clipped. And we're done. I also want to show you two other variations for filtering data if you're interested in different results. So let's turn all of these layers off again and go back to our original layer and right-click on Filter. We can still see the filter that we created earlier to filter out all the surfaces that have fietspad as a value. But what if we not only want to see the bike paths, but also the parking areas on campus? If we delete this again and we click Test, we'll see all the data. And we can go on Function again and press All. And we already used the bike paths. And there's also a value called parkeervlak, which is the parking space. And if we want to filter out both of these surfaces, then we start off the same way. We double click function is equal to feedspot. And then on a new line, you input or. And again on a new line, you double click function is equal to, and then parkeervlak. So what we basically say here is, if the function is feedspot or the function is parkeervlak, then include the surface in our dataset. So if we press OK now, then you can see that it's not only the bike paths that are selected, but also the parking spaces. And one last way I want to show you to filter data. Let's go back to our filter window and delete everything. You can see that the function field has a few different values with the word rijbaan in it. There's 4 different values with rijbaan. They're all different kinds of roads. And what if we want to include all the different values that have rijbaan in the name? We can do that by double-clicking function again, and then using the like function, and then typing rijbaan with these single quote marks, and put a percentage sign before the first letter and a percentage sign after the last letter, which basically means if the function value includes the word rijbaan and anything before it and anything after it, then include the surfaces in the subset. So if we run this, you see that all the different kinds of roads are there, and the bike paths and the parking spaces are gone again. The rest of the steps in clipping and in merging the surfaces are the same as we did with the bike paths. You have to decide which layers are interesting for you for your context model, but usually the bike paths, the roads, the water, and the greenery is interesting. So one last thing I want to show you is the trees. There's this layer called BGT vegetatieobject, which are the points for each tree on the campus. And we can also just clip them as we did with the bike path layer. So select the layer, go to Vector, Geoprocessing Tools, and Clip, and use the BGT vegetatieobject as an input layer and the project boundary as an overlay layer, and run. So if you turn the original layer off, then you get this clip layer with only the trees that are actually within our project boundary. And then again, you can right-click, make permanent, and save the trees as a geo package. In the next video, we're going to take a look at the buildings.